What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Muse. I'm your host, Kevin Brumley, and I am joined by a special guest from the hit show Last Chance U. He was one of the coaches on this season of Last Chance U basketball. That is Ken Hunter. Ken, how you doing?
Man, I'm great, man. Glad to be here.
Like I said, I'm really glad that you hit me back, and I was definitely really excited about this interview. So let's kind of start here, man. Is I was really interested with the show in general, but I was interested with you.
Uh,
And the thing that really made me interested was I think you had a really different relationship with the players. I think you did a good job of keeping it real in a way. And I would like to know a little bit about your coaching style and your upbringing because I think the two kind of mesh together a lot of times with coaches, and it's the reason they coach in a certain way. So just tell me a little bit about that.
no doubt, man. I've always had coaches that was real and upfront, man, and they wasn't dictators, but they let you know they ran things to a certain standard, certain way, and was always honest, man. I kind of learned that from Perry Watson about the honesty side of things and being upfront with players if you want to get the best out of them. And that's kind of where I get my little style from. And then of course, I'm from Southwest Detroit, so it's rough place, rough neighborhood. Home of some of the most notorious gangsters ever, including BMF, one of the biggest organized crime um, circuses that have ever been in the U.S. So, just that toughness, man, and that realness, and kind of some of the stuff you learn in the streets or being around that, just it all is the same, man. It's like the basketball court. It's basketball at our level is dog eat dog. And the streets is like that, it's dog eat dog. So it's an easy transition for me because I played and I'm from that life, and most of the players we get, especially some of the better ones, they a little rough around the edges, man. And so when they got a guy like me that can relate, no matter what background you came from, I can relate to. And no matter how bad you've been through it, I can relate to it. So it's easy for kids to open up to me once they talk with me and spend time with me and see some of the things that I've overcome. It makes it a little bit easier for them to understand and open up and start to trust again.
And that's so interesting because I think people kind of who aren't in like a coaching circle, like this is my seventh year coaching football. And
Yeah,
I think that a lot of times they think it's just about X's and O's. And it's about so much of like getting the player to trust you because
yeah,
you're not going to buy into the system or you're not going to buy in to, a philosophy if you don't trust the person they have your best interest at hand, especially at a JUCO, man. These guys all have dreams of bigger and better places, and this
right.
is their stepping stone. And I think you did a really good job. Like there's the one scene with Joe Hampton where he gets mad out of practice, goes off the court, you go into the locker room, you talk to him, and you bring him back down. And he ends up finishing that practice. And like, with a guy like that, that is so important to have a guy like you to kind of you fill in some of the gaps, like you said, a little
Right.
rough around the edges. And I thought that was so interesting. I love that scene. I
Um,
just thought it was definitely empowering.
oh, no doubt, no doubt, man. A lot of people love that scene, but what a lot of people don't know is like it was just my turn. We as a coaching staff, we kind of take turns doing that. Because at the junior college level, especially the way we run things, um, we our standards are high. It's intense every day. Those 2 hours in the gym are very, very intense. And unfortunately, they had to protect us and couldn't show the all, what practice is really like on a daily basis, going through the full practice. But man, it can be rough, especially when you're at home life not stable. And so a lot of JUCO kids have stability issues off the court. Um, and so to go through that grind and the way we do it, because Coach Mosley will challenge you mentally too, and so we have kids blow up all the time, and either me or Coach Rob, normally one of the runs to reel them in. Sometimes Mosley will go back and reel them in, but most of the time it's me or Rob. And we get the production we're looking for, and we get the kid to start to trust and buy in, and they just happened to catch me with Joe that particular day. So, but probably every kid on that team had that moment besides KJ. KJ was the only one that didn't mentally break down any that particular season. But everybody else on the team had a moment like that, maybe two.
Sure.
And so it's up to your coaching staff, man, to know what you're dealing with, know the temperature in the room, and know the adjustments that need to be made. And that's a good assistant's job, is to have your head coach's back, but then know when there need to be some adjustments made, and know who's going through what. And it makes it easier. It makes it easier to understand the players. It makes it easier for them to understand the coaches, because they got a middleman that can relay what the coach is trying to get out of them. And we've been doing it. I've been doing it 20 years, so it's nothing I've never seen. Especially at this level, I didn't seen it all.
Yeah, and I think you guys, like you, Rob, Mosley, like all make this like perfect kind of like family where Mosley's like the mom who's just on you, right? He's driving the hard bargain. You got to do this. You got to do this. And sometimes these kids wear thin, like you said, they have a tough out of even just out of basketball home life. And with you and Rob, you guys are a little bit more calm, relaxed, and I think you guys do a good job. But you guys keep it real. If they need push, you push them. And like you said, I think that's what rounds out a coaching staff is having those people that kind of fill in the gaps of, here and there of some inadequacies. And so, like I said, I was a really, really big fan. I was a little hesitant for the basketball season, but it was awesome. I loved it. I love Last Chance U. It's a great show.
Oh man, we appreciate that, man. We've been getting a lot of love from all across the world, man. We so happy for the fan base that we have and that's been created. And we hope y'all keep enjoying it. Hope y'all keep tuning in. Hopefully they bring us back, and y'all can get to see some more, and chase another one, man. Every year it's a different journey, and we always look forward to that journey with the new group.
It was so cool seeing like COVID too start off. Like it was like, oh, there's 4 cases in the US. And like now we know that, hundreds of thousands of people have passed away because of this. It was just really, really cool seeing like just a different perspective, kind of like rewinding a little bit.
Yeah, man, it was so much unknown when it first hit. Um, it's crazy because I remember being in Vegas. So when they were up in the cabins, I was actually in Vegas meeting with some NBA personnel, and then meeting with some agents and doing watching the Mountain West and the Mountain West and the WCCC tournaments, which I had players in both, and just doing my due diligence with agents and different guys about those players. And the Mountain West actually got the finish. I don't remember if the WCCC got the finish or not. And then they started shutting everything down immediately. And so, even our Sweet 16 game, we wasn't even sure we was gonna play that. But they let it roll. And then as we preparing for the Elite Eight state tournament, it was just crushing, for those kids to get that news, man. And they, everything slowly but surely started shutting down, man. And we was one of the last people in the country, as far as the basketball to shut down. I actually thought we was gonna still play, because they came up with what I thought was a great plan, to have no fans and still play it out, and still do it safely. And I thought it would have been great, but I guess it was so much unknown. They really didn't know what the coronavirus, could do, how bad it could affect you, how often, it was killing off people and all that. So they just played it safe, man. But it was just, super unfortunate for a group of kids who worked so hard and sacrificed so much, man. And y'all got to see that, as we went through it firsthand.
Yeah, definitely a tough pill to swallow when you've been working for something the entire year and it's just kind of like ripped away. Just when you're at that climax and it's ripped away, it's definitely tough for the coaching staff and players included. I'm curious how weird was it and how kind of like difficult did it make some of the practices and games of having a film crew follow you all the time?
You know what, man? People ask us that question all the time, and honestly, I think it helps practice, because kids did not want to look bad on film, you know, and so they locked in a little bit more, even though you couldn't see it um, through the actual film itself, because of the way they protected us and didn't want to disclose what we do fully. But man, it was amazing, bro. Like after the first 2 or 3 practices, it was like everybody was just super locked in. Like you really, you get mic'd up. You got these cameras on you all the time, but you actually forget they there. You get so used to it, like it's like a mental block that you just tune them out, and you really forget they're there. And then, we're so genuine and real with what we do. Like, it don't matter if they're there or not. We still gonna be us. What you see is what you really get. And it's actually toned down. The film made it toned down some. 'Cause, like, we really, really get after it, man. And our guys will tell you that. Like I have former players calling me like, man, y'all ain't do no running on the track. We lived on the track. And I'm like, no, we did. They just didn't show it. We did a lot of, because they know the consequences of when we going through the BS ego stuff, or somebody frustrated, or any of that. And so I thought it was, from day one, I was cool with the cameras. I was cool with the mics. I was just hoping I didn't say nothing I would regret one day, because I'm so unfiltered. I'm the totally opposite of Mosley. I'm super unfiltered. And, he's super filtered all the time, even when the camera's not there. And like Coach Rob said, he the only dude in the world that can really go off, and you would swear he cussed, but he didn't say one cuss word.
It's impressive.
It really is, especially in the heat of the moment. Like, it's really impressive in the heat of the moment, because he always catches himself, and I'll be just like, man, one day it's gonna slip. Like, it's gonna slip. But that's what he got me there for, man. I'm the cusser out dude. So, you know, but they actually made me look good, like I wasn't the cusser out dude. Everybody thought I was the nice one. So, I was proud of that.
So that actually brings me to an interesting question, and it kind of matches up with that. Is we see this with TV all the time, and you hear stories about people being misrepresented on film, where they kind of purposely portray somebody as outlandish or absurd or ridiculous, and that's not necessarily the case. It's just they showed a certain amount of shots that paint somebody
Right.
in that picture. Was there anybody misrepresented in the show?
Um, just Joe a little. Yes, Joe is a knucklehead. Yes, he does knucklehead shit. Yes, he needed to get his stuff together, but he was the best teammate that you could ever have, man. This dude, I remember after one practice, the team was going out to eat, and Malik didn't have no money. He like, I ain't going, man. Only, I ain't got no money. Joe like, man, don't worry about no money, man. I got you. Gave Malik $100 bill. Here, this for you. And so it's things like that that Joe and Deshaun always did, to help with the team, and help the chemistry of the team. And they understood how important that was to the basketball side of things. So, with Joe, even like every mama in the world be like, Ken, I don't know how you deal with that knucklehead ass dude, but I would have whooped him. The mamas are the worst. They worse than the men. Like it. And so I'm like, nah, he really not that bad of a kid. He was going through a lot. They protected, his privacy too. not letting you know the off the court stuff he was dealing with. Um, and a lot of times you see him on film and he's saying, man, I shouldn't be here. And that's because he's dealing with something that he had no control over. And it's hard to forget those problems are there when you're going through that type of grind, and so he was playing with a heaviness not all the other players had to play with, and going through a lot of difficult things that a lot of people don't recover from. And so to watch him from where he started to where he is now is amazing. He has a hell of a testimony, and hopefully he'll be able to help other kids in this situation by sharing his story and his testimony. And I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, Joe really reminded me of like a Zach Randolph, where like he's a guy with limited athletic ability, but all the skills in the world. Like he's just a dude you can tell just relentlessly works.
Yeah,
And it's just he's and everybody respects him around him because they know the work he puts in. Because that's
right.
the thing, man. When you see a guy like Joe and the way he's painted in the show is like he is kind of a knucklehead, but like all the dudes, like nobody talked bad about Joe. Nobody was
Right,
like, dude, I'm
right.
tired of Joe. Like, I'm tired of him storming off the court. They're just like, dude, Joe's a great teammate. Love Joe. And that's where you know that like he was just a good dude who put in the work. And so that's obviously the guy I was kind of wondering about if off the court, some issues that he had. So I'm glad that I think they did kind of come full circle and kind of let you know that Joe's a good dude and whatnot. Because originally at the beginning of the show, that you're like, oh, this guy's pretty rough. Like what I mean? I don't know if he's gonna make it through the season.
Right, right. And that was good production too, to set it up um as if this dude probably not gonna make it. This is the head case kind of knucklehead dude. Um, and then to watch him thrive through that, man, and to see where he came from beginning to end, even to the point where he wasn't even scared to open up in front of the team anymore. I thought the producers did a hell of a job with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to forget about the off the court issues, just imagine, how hard it is to be in his spot. Like he's a guy who was nationally ranked. He thought he had his ticket, to millions, right? And to have that ripped away with some injuries and whatnot, and you're kind of brought down to reality, and it's a real ego check. That has to be one of the hardest things in the world, and I can only imagine, kind of how he felt regardless of the issues, you know what I mean? And that just adds on and builds up. And so he was definitely in a tough situation, but I'm glad he, ended up going where he wanted to. He's out in Long Beach, right?
Yeah, he's at Long Beach State, and he had a real good season. I think he averaged like 12 points and 6 rebounds. Started just about every game, and he, got a real bright future, man. He's got back into the flow of being a Division I athlete. The Long Beach State coaches absolutely love him, and he helped bring that team together. And the thing about Joe is he's never been afraid to work hard. He's always been willing to put in the work and do what he have to do to get to where he wanted to get. And that's the other thing about the show that y'all didn't see. Anytime he missed, he would make the work up. He would come in and put 2-3 hours in with Rob, be on the track. Because when you miss with us, you have to run on the track and make up a certain amount of miles, and that replicates a practice. And so Joe always did that, and we had no issues with him, other than him trying to self sabotage himself. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And which kind of brings me to, was there anything, crazy or funny or anything like that that the show didn't put on, like it didn't end up making the final cut? Was there a particular moment that you kind of remember where you're like, man, like I'm surprised that didn't make it?
No, it was all type of moments missed. And I'll tell you the different reasons why. First off, they were still filming football while we were going through the beginning of the season. So like the first month and a half, 2 months, they wasn't around. you know. And so actually that's the most drama that we have, is them first 2 months, because we tuning out the egos. Guys are fighting for positions and playing time, and so it can get ugly, fights, everything. Like, so you missed all that, because by the time they came around, we're about 2-3 weeks into the season, and we done earned all that out, you know. And so you missed a lot of those moments. And then we practiced, so when conference started up, we practiced on Sundays, and they didn't film those Sundays. And those actually are the funniest and the toughest practices, and so you can imagine some of the things that go on in those days, because it's Sunday evening, the players don't want to be there. Sometimes us coaches don't want to be there, and it can get interesting, and so those, I'm pretty sure next year they'll film all of it. But they missed out on some great moments. Some like, it would have been crazy TV ratings if some of this stuff would have been saw. Like, I remember a fight broke out so quick, and I'm just sitting here like, wow, if Netflix was here, they would be going crazy right now. So little things like that. And it happens in all sports, especially winning teams. People think winning teams just win, but they go through difficulties in the beginning, and then they earn them out, and that's why they win. And so by the time they get rolling, it's nothing to earn out anymore. They earned out all of the problems, And so, anybody that played on any type of winning team or championship type team, they know that. The thing about bad teams is that happens all year. It never get corrected. There's no adjustments made. They fight each other the whole year, and that's why they bad, and they give up on each other. They don't trust each other. And so them was some of the things that was missed, that probably would make a second season unbelievable, and be even rated higher than what it is now. But I'm pretty sure they bring it back, they will not miss that again.
Yeah, those are the dog days, man. That first month, because people aren't in top tier condition, so they're getting tired, they're getting cranky, they're jockeying for position. So yeah, those are those dog days, man. Those are tough. I imagine there's some crazy stories there. So you do a lot of scouting along with coaching.
Yeah.
Who are some of the best players that you've almost kind of discovered in a way, where you were kind of the first in on these guys?
What's funny, man? I've recognized a ton of guys early on as superstars. And that's what I'm known for. I'm known for my eye and my ability to evaluate, and to project, And so, man, I've seen some great young guys. Being in Southern California, especially, you get to see kids early in the third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and then through middle school, through high school. So I've been fortunate, man, and I've been here 20 years, 22 years to be exact. And I've seen some great ones, man, and was able to call it early. And people like Paul George, I've seen him since he was 14, 13. And you can just be like, hey man, that dude got it. He gon' it's the it factor. DeAndre Ayton's, and DeAndre Ayton was an eighth grader in my gym, that my boy Ice Manning brought down. Him and Brandon McCoy, both end up being 7-footers, and both being drafted to the NBA. And it's always like that. James Harden, I watched his career early. Him playing in Artesia and being from LA, and playing with some of my players that I had and watch all of them. DeLon Wright, is another one whose birthday was yesterday. And to watch his journey from the beginning to the end. And it's just been amazing. Spencer Dinwiddie is another one. I knew at an early age he was special. One of one of my good friends, Olin Simpson, which people call him the guard whisperer because he trained all the top NBA guards. He always bring his clientele around and, help. I would help him train different dudes and let him use our facilities because we both went to the same college. And, he always brought around good young guys, and you can always tell who those special ones are. You can look at him and be like, okay, that kid gonna be special. He got something that, this kid don't got. He got something other people. And, it's just, you when you do it so long, man, you just know if this kid listens to the right people, he stays focused and on track, um, stays out of trouble and stays out the street, he can make it all the way. And so, I've been fortunate, just been fortunate that I live in gyms. I love working. I love working with kids. I love working with other people too, because I love seeing how other guys do things. In this business and in any business where it's skill work involved, it's always more than one way to skin a cat. And so you want to learn as many ways as possible, and that's something that I always prided myself on. People will tell you that work with me, they love working with me for the simple fact that I don't try to make you do something one way or the other. I want you to do it the best way you know how, and then I'm going to help you with what I know, and then we kind of mix it together, and it becomes successful, and people love it, man. Guys love playing for me. Guys love training with me, even though I don't do as much training as I used to at one time. But it's enjoyable to me. I love the game, so it's not like it's work to me. It's my way of kind of relaxing, to be honest.
That's really cool because I think there's a lot that goes into scouting. You know what I mean? It's you really have to have a drive and a passion to do scouting because it's a lot of work. And it's not just as simple as like especially when you're a JUCO, you have to kind of find the hidden gems like a KJ. You look
Right.
at KJ, he's an elite athlete. A guy with a motor. And to find that kind of guy and be like, I think he can project this. I think we can round out that athleticism and make it useful. It definitely takes a lot of work. And, it's really cool. Like with basketball, a lot of times these guys just blossom and we get to see their early career. And being from around the Pittsburgh area, there's a kid who, from a school really close to me, that played on an AAU team with Terrell Pryor, DeJuan Blair, Cam Hayward, DJ Kennedy, like some dope dudes, and just them telling some of their stories about them traveling around the world and playing
Right.
AAU ball. And they told a story about they were in seventh grade and someone said a back pick and the point guard comes around, catches in seventh grade, dunks it. And he's like, that guard, Derrick Rose. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, you know what I mean? Like that's so cool. And they talked about the first time they, saw LeBron James. I think he was a freshman and they're playing on the court. And the dad's like, hey, who's that guy? And they're like, oh, it's some LeBron James guy. And like, you know what I mean? He ends up being one of the greatest players to ever play basketball. So
Right.
it's definitely really interesting with that kind of stuff. And we actually have a kid who's about a half hour from me now, who's in the 2023 class named Rodney Gallagher. And he's ranked 47th in the nation. And he's a football guy. He's got D1 offers, football, basketball. Actually played with Bronny, LeBron's son in Vegas. And it's just really cool seeing these guys like just blossom throughout their career. So definitely a really neat thing. And I'm sure you have stories upon stories.
Oh, yeah.
Let
No
me
doubt.
let me
Go ahead.
get you out on this is, at the end of the day, do you have an end goal in coaching? Is it kind of, 'cause it seems like you really have a passion with working with some of these guys and kind of like you said, finding these hidden gems and kind of really giving them that boost to take their journey as far as they can. Is this what you end like your end goal, that what you want to do, or is there something more that you want to do?
The crazy part about it, man, I never had a go. I never even saw myself doing this. And then as I'm going through the process and learning and doing it, and recognizing how good I was at it, it's funny because I was at Cal State Fullerton when I first started coaching. Um, and I was going to school and I was getting a degree in computer science because, I'm in a wheelchair. And so I wanted to find something that I can be successful in, and wasn't, hard manual labor or anything. And so I'm in my junior year, the end of my junior year, and as I'm coaching, we having a ton of success. And I'm asking myself, like, why am I going into computer science? Like, is it just the injury that made me do that? Like, or what can I do with this coaching stuff? And so, um, I'm reaping some of the rewards of the coaching, and my name is getting out there big time. And it was just like, all right, I want to change my major. I want to do this coaching thing. I need to do it correctly. So I end up changing my major actually the beginning of my senior year, and I only have four classes left to graduate. And I changed my major the beginning of my senior year, which kind of added on like another half a year of school to be. And so I go into kinesiology, and I just was like, I'm just going to outwork. I don't know where it's going to take me. I'm just going to outwork everybody. And my goal was just to try to win a championship, continue to develop these kids, move them on. And I was always great in developing and moving them on because I was so connected already from being a player, so I had every coach's number and cell phones and all that already. And so it was just an easy process for me. It wasn't a big learning curve. I was always good with X's and O's and picking up stuff quick. And so my ability to communicate is what kind of separated me, so I can communicate things and simplify it for kids where they really understand it, and it made it a lot easier. And so when kids really know that you know your craft, they give you all the respect in the world, because they want to be better. They want to know what it takes. And then not only can you show them, but you can show them a product or a person that actually done what you've taught them, and that really blows their mind. So NBA guys would come in our gym all the time, or top overseas guys, top D1 guys that I train, and I'm taking them through a workout before we start playing little open run setting, and it just always amazed our kids. So it was easy to get their attention after that. They send these pros do it. They like, okay, this shit worked. Let me listen. Let me start doing this. And it always starts with the best players on your team. When they start doing it, now everybody want to do it. And so that's how it kind of started, man. So I never set a goal. I just always said, man, wherever God leads me, that's where I'll be. But wherever I'm at, I'm just gonna work my ass off and outwork whoever in front of me. And that's what I've always did. I've always played my role, and make sure that I was bringing something positive to the table. And so Coach Mosley does a great job of letting me do me. He lets Rob do him, and we kind of blend it together, and it makes it work. But it's been like that since I've been over at East LA. Even before Rob was there, we always had great assistants that always knew their craft, that bust their ass, worked their butts off, came early, left late, and enjoyed it, man. And we enjoyed each other, because you're talking about a wealth of basketball knowledge, that was on our bench, and it's still a wealth of knowledge on our bench. And that was one of the great things of working at East LA, man. You had so many knowledgeable guys, and guys who love what they're doing, and one just in it, for the money or for this or for that. They really love helping kids and helping mold kids and helping develop kids both on and off the court. And so when you got relationships and you can communicate like that, you forget you working a job. You really do. I be feeling like I don't even feel like I work until I receive a paycheck, and then I remember, damn, I'm getting paid for this, you know. So, so it's all good, man. wherever I do want to challenge myself one day, and see what I can do at a higher level. Um, you know, just because, the competitor in me. But I'm content with where I'm at. I don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? I can be fine doing this for another 20 years, another 30 years, and it'll feed every competitive spirit in me, and I'll still be happy and still live a good life.
No, that's awesome, and I think it kind of gets overlooked of um, the the kind of the passion you have to get to the spot you're at. And we saw that with Rob a little bit. He talked about just basically working for free. You know what I mean? But he's chasing his dream. He's chasing what he wants to do, and that's so cool to see it pay off. Like you said, you're starting to blow up and everything, and your connections are on point. They've been on point for 20 years now, and it's just really cool to see somebody that the fruits of their labor finally blossom, right? And
Right.
that's just so awesome to see, because anybody who's ever coached at any level, you almost are kind of always underpaid, in a weird way. We see coaches making millions of dollars, but the way that you live, like Urban Meyer, look at him in football. I mean, the guy's had to retire like twice from health concerns because like it's so much. And when me coaching high school football, I look at it, and when I break down of workouts and practices and the extra practice I do with kids that want a little bit extra work, and I make like a few bucks an hour, maybe. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
that kind of thing,
Right.
but I love doing it. Like I don't sit there and think like, oh man, I just want to go home and like hang out with my family. It's just one of those things where
Right.
you just love doing it. You love the grind, and it's so rewarding when you see the kids, reach their potential or hit a new goal, and for you to see those kids finally achieve their dreams of playing in the league, playing overseas. I was a cog in that system to help them reach that. It has to just be so fulfilling. And like I said, you just said that if you did this for the next 20, 30 years, you're good with it. And I could definitely see that. You're a guy who's just, I don't know. I think you help the kids on not just the basketball level, but as far as just kind of gathering their lives together. And I think that's so impactful, so important. And I'm sure all the kids, really, really appreciate everything that you do for them. And it's just awesome. So,
Right. And
Ken,
they love.
I appreciate you having me on, or you coming on the show, man. I had a great time, talking with you. And like I said, I definitely wanted to have you on, and the fact that you were so receptive of it, really made me happy. But man, I definitely appreciate you.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. Anytime, no problem whatsoever.
I appreciate that. And guys, go follow my guy, Instagram, Twitter. Go watch the show if you haven't watched the show already. Definitely go watch the show. It's awesome. I've actually just started rewatching it for the second time. So great show. I appreciate it. I hope you guys get a season 2 because I can't wait. And I can't wait to follow these guys' journey, man. KJ and Joe and Deshaun. So I'm definitely really excited. And guys, if you like the episode, click like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.